I have mentioned to you a friend of mine, Ben Johnson. He's a former Navy SEAL, 11 years as a Navy SEAL, suffering from PTSD, discovered psilocybin mushrooms. This is maybe 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and he began to, a lot of his brothers in arms also were having the same issues with PTSD, discovered that psilocybin mushrooms were a very effective treatment for it. So he began looking into, he became a grower, and he's perfected, and over like 11 or 12 years, he's perfected the growing technique, and he has now been granted the first federal license to legally grow psilocybin. And they're building a laboratory in North Georgia, and it'll probably be where we eventually will get all of our shrooms from. It would be a very interesting discussion for you to talk to him.
I'd love to talk to him.
About what he's got going on. And I've asked, I said, would you ever think about going on Joe's show and talk about what you're doing? He said, I'd love to. A very interesting man. But yeah, 11 years as a Navy SEAL, and he saw it all. And mushrooms is what saved his life. And now he's building a laboratory. He's got funding. He's building a multi-million-dollar laboratory in North Georgia. I've seen his operation. It's mind-blowingly impressive what he's got going on.
Well, that connects us with Dennis McKenna and Terence McKenna's ideas of human beings literally evolving from lower hominids experimenting with psilocybin mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. It's a very powerful idea, and kudos to Terence McKenna. And I never knew Terence personally, but I do know Dennis very, very well, and he's a fantastic researcher in this field. Kudos to them for realizing. Terence's book was called Food of the Gods, that the encounters with psychedelics, with ancient psychedelics, were what put humanity on a huge leap forward. And then, unfortunately, we have repressive forces in society that have tried to shut that down and demonize it. But we are missing a very, very important part of our heritage with the attitude that we have to psychedelics right now. And that's why I'm so happy to see that mainstream research is finally getting involved in this. They're realizing that these are real healing vehicles, that they can do things that no other big pharma medicine can do. My only concern is that big pharma takes it over, and that they start putting in, synthetic psilocybin and patenting it in various ways. This again, it's like our past. This is a birthright of all humanity, which we should have a right to. Governments should not have a right to tell adults what they may or may not put in their bodies. Governments should not have that right to hold the keys to our consciousness. These should be matters of personal decision. And for the same reason, looking into the issue of a lost civilization, we should not look for ourselves in the past. We should not look for 21st century civilization with all its particular kinds of tech and all its attitudes. We should be open to something very different in the past, which was nevertheless capable of doing extraordinary things.
Is there any evidence that the ancient Egyptians utilized psychedelics?
Definitely. The ancient Egyptians definitely used psychedelics. There are works of art. Their psychedelic of choice was the blue water lily, which was tinctured in wine. And bottles of this were found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, as a matter of fact. And apparently, I've not experienced blue water lily myself, but apparently it induces a deeply altered state of consciousness and opens up visions and possibilities. We shouldn't despise these things.
Do we know what the psychedelic compound in blue water lily is?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. It's all I know is that it induces a dreamlike visionary state.
So we know for a fact that they utilized this based on...
Yes, we do. Based on those bottles that were found in Tutankhamun's tomb.
Here it is. Blue water lilies hold the key to stunning different high.
Yeah.
Besides being stunningly beautiful, the blue water lily has some surprising medicinal qualities, ranging from being an aphrodisiac to alleviating pain, depression, to even upset stomachs. The blue water lily also has a dark underbelly. It's got psychedelic properties that can catapult you into a super high. How's that dark? Also called...
Well, that's the propaganda again,
yeah.
you see.
The blue lotus, the blue water lily, is believed to have originated in Egypt's Nile River and was used by ancient Egyptians as a sacred substance to attain higher levels of consciousness. In fact, it's common to find symbols representing the blue lotus in Egyptian pillars and scrolls.
And that's a fact. It's all over ancient Egyptian art. And the Egyptologists will tell you that they're holding those just to sniff the perfume. No, they're not. They're venerating them for their effects on consciousness. And to which we should add that the ancient Egyptian tree of life was an acacia tree. And its bark contains dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful hallucinogen known to man. I don't like the word hallucinogen, but that's the one we have to use. Entheogen, whatever we want to say. The most powerful known to science. And again, fortunately, there is now very interesting research going on into these things. So there are so many forbidden areas of our past which have been forbidden by the experts, by the so-called authorities, which gradually, in the new mindset of the 21st century, we are breaking through to. I think what's special about our time, and by goodness, it's a time of turbulence and a time of difficulty. We are living through a paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift has to do with our attitude to so-called experts. Yes, there is a place for experts. Of course there is. But they shouldn't be given sole control over any area of the human story. And what's happening now is that people distrust experts, and they rightly and properly distrust experts, because again and again the experts have misled us. And this is true with psychedelics, and it's true with the study of the ancient past of the human species as well. It's absurd that a small group of academics called archaeologists should literally hold the keys to the whole human past and tell us, lecture us, instruct us on how human beings were in the past. There's so much more room for deep exploration on this, and for people who aren't academically qualified to roll their sleeves up and get some work done. And Randall is a prime example of that. A man who doesn't come from the field, the background of geology or archaeology, but you've rolled up your sleeves, you've walked the walk. They're still rolled up right now. and you've got up there and you've brought new information to the table. And that's one of the things I'd like to say, that everybody can do this. This is our past, our heritage. It should not be controlled by a tiny specialist group.